All right. Hello, Gun Nation. It says we are live. It is myself, and we're gonna got TriggerBar Philosopher on this evening. We're gonna be talking about irons or red dots for EDC, and of course other things. Y'all got any questions? And I'm gonna answer a couple that are already out there. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good.
Good,
Yeah,
good,
great day.
good. Yeah, that's good.
I
I
had
know you
COVID
had.
last week
Yeah,
when you did your call, and so today's a good day.
I was gonna say I know you had the China, so
Yep.
I'm glad you're over that. But yeah, last time we had a really good time when you were on, and I've been wanting to get you back on. So I've been talking to some other people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll be on," and then everything falls through. So I'm just like, I'm just going to start reaching out to, like you, Chris, Hot Pot, anybody that wants to be on. We're going to start doing it that way. So, and we could even have a couple of people on. So we'll start rolling that way. But I'm just going to say hi to everybody real quick. We've got DB in the house, reloading from the hot pot. We got Scott 79, Pistol Pete, Mai Kai, Dirt Track, and yes, I did want to kind of talk to Gene on reloading from the hot pot on those MBX Tanfo mags. I have a lot of MBX mags. Now they are the staccato type, things like that, but uh, Tanfos are kind of weird. You've got small frames, medium frames, large frame Tanfos, so the mags can be kind of strange. It's not just one mag for one Tanfo. It's the same with the grips as well. If you get lock grips, you have to have the medium, small frame, large frame. So mags are kind of weird for those. I personally haven't had any issues with MBX mags, and I've got like 8 of them, but they are the staccato setups. I don't have any for my Tanfo. I've got a bunch of Tanfo mags, just not MBX mags. So I personally haven't tried them, so I don't know. But I did. I was able to watch your video real quick and see what was going on with the rattling and stuff. And it looks like you have one large frame, and then maybe one medium frame because the large frame is not going in the gun, and then the other one's loose in the gun. So I don't know what happened there, but that's kind of strange. Most MBX mags do run really well. So I don't know. As far as the follower on those, a lot of them, mine kind of look like that too on my MBX. Knock on wood, I haven't had any problems with them running. So I don't know if it would break. The little follower, the 3D printed looking thing, but mine do look like that as well. So, but you said you had seen a bunch of them break, Gene. So maybe they are. I don't know. Have you had any experience, Trigger Bar, with any of the MBX mags at all?
I have not had experience with them. Nope.
Okay. I mean, they've been in the game for a long time. Humble Marksman uses the hell out of them for all of his, and he hasn't had any problems with his. I think Bald and Curious uses them too. Bald, do you use MBX mags? I thought he had some, but I wasn't. I'm not sure. Um, but I guess we'll see as it keeps going. Scott has a question. Oops, here it is. Anyone seen C Strybog coming out with the roller lock 10 millimeter PCC? Did you happen to see that, Trigger Bar?
I have not, but that is super exciting to me.
Yeah, they had it at the TriggerCon, and some of the guys were shooting it and playing around with it, and it looked pretty cool.
Now,
So
is it roller delayed or is it a direct blowback?
I thought it was direct blowback. I didn't see that it was roller delayed, but I could, maybe I just missed that part. I don't know, but I did see the Strybog having the 10 millimeter, so I don't know.
I'd
Um,
I I'd sure like a 10 millimeter PCC.
yeah, yeah, that is cool. I mean, if you're gonna, especially in a short barrel, the 10 millimeter is better than 9 millimeter. When you're dealing with something like that, and you're gonna have good control of it because you've got multiple points of contact. Where some people can't handle a 10 in a pistol. I'm not saying everybody can't, but you know what I mean. Like smaller frame people, smaller handed people, maybe ladies, young people. That 10 millimeter would be pretty cool to have in a PCC setup like that.
Well, and it just matches. I have several other 10 millimeters. And so, again, I have a 9 millimeter PCC. It matches with all my nines. And
Yeah.
I've got, it'd be nice to have something with the 10 millimeter. That's kind of cool. I've been watching a fair amount of Turkey's Opinion, and he's doing that 400 Legend. So he's
Yep.
shoving 40 Smith and Wesson and 10 millimeter rounds into the 400 Legend upper that he has. Dang, that would be a wicked self-defense gun. Um,
Yeah,
home defense. Those he's got some of those rounds going 2,600 feet per second. 40 cal
damn,
bullet going
damn,
2,600 feet per second. They die off fast, and so they don't go a long ways. But
yeah,
because they're heavy bullets, 180, 200 grain bullets, and
yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
mean, you're not, like, especially for home defense or something like that. It's not like you're going to be, going out even 100 yards with something like that. I mean, I guess you could if you needed to. I don't know what the drop on that would be. I think it would be pretty intense at 100 yards, but who knows? Um, Jason's asking, how are you doing? Or we're doing great. What's your thoughts on Washington State judges saying that there is no constitutional right to own magazines and can't block laws because of democracy? Jason, you should know how I feel about any gun law. I mean, any gun law is an infringement. I've said that a million times. They should not be telling us what Joe Blow can have and what so and so can have. I mean, just like JB said, oh, y'all can't have a tank. You can't have a cannon. Bullshit, we can't. I mean, we can have what the hell we want to have. And I'll kind of say it this way: you can have what you want to have, unless you get caught. I mean,
Well, look, same week that Judge Benitez came out in California and said there is nothing ever in the law that blocks
yeah,
what size magazine you can have. And he just in California said that's BS,
yeah,
right? Here's the game. Everybody goes to their favorite judge, conservative, liberal, and tries to, get a ruling up them. And then they appeal and then they appeal,
yeah,
right? But what ticks me off the most is that most of these places know darn well these laws are going to get struck down eventually, but
yeah.
they don't give a rat's patootie. They get 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of showing their constituency that they did something about gun control. Even though when you look at the numbers, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing absolutely happened other than crime continued to go up.
Well, actually, here's what they do: they're milking from the teat of the common people, milking that tax money. That's what they're doing. And all of this crap. If somebody would just have a set of nuts and just stamp it and say all gun, all this gun crap is bullshit, and we're ending it. Go on to something else. Just move on. Pick another battle. Um, you know, I wish they'd just come out and say, everybody can carry, do what you want to do. And I
Yeah.
tell you, gun violence, how they're worried about gun violence and all this other stuff. If they knew everybody was strapped, they're going to pick targets differently.
Why do these
I mean,
mass shootings always occur in gun-free zones?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, all you're doing when you throw a sign up is you're inviting the wolves to the hen house.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
All the
saying.
crazies. Look, inter-gang warfare, that happens everywhere,
Yep.
right? Gun-free zone, not gun-free zone. But
Yep.
then the crazies go to the gun-free zone because they've been picked on their whole life and they want to bully people back,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
and and that's essentially what's going on there. Then Gavin Newsom, introduced his 20% tax or whatever to fund his gun control work.
Yeah. And look at California taxes already. I mean, everybody, where everybody's feeling the pinch, but when they're adding, the millionaire tax, the gun tax, all this ammo tax, all this other crap on there, I mean, they're trying to basically have it for the rich and not for the poor, or not for the middle class people to protect themselves. And that's the thing. That's a right we were given by God, not by Joe Blow or not by whomever. We have the Second Amendment just like we have the First, and our Second Amendment protects the First. So everybody says, "I want to say what I want to say," you know.
And it just, and I don't know, I'm going off just a little bit, but it just upsets me so much, right? That, Gavin Newsom was on there ranting about how, all dramatic, like about how it's the number one killer of kids and we're not doing something.
Nope,
That's such complete BS.
nope.
It's
But
the number one killer of men up to 19, between 17 and 19, because you have such a huge statistic of gang violence happening,
yeah,
right? That's why it's in there. And if you take out suicide, it's not even close.
mm-mm. That's what
right?
I'm saying. I talked about this stat before. I think we're ranked like I don't know. It was I can't remember the exact stats, but they were like 13th or
Yeah.
something or 43rd or whatever. But if you took, I think it was New York, California, there were like 3 or 4 states. If you took those out, Chicago and stuff, if you took those out, I think we would be like 900 and or 433rd or some crap. It was just something crazy.
Well, and
Um,
it's suicide is the 40 to 60% of
yeah.
all the data. I can't remember which it was, but it's one of those two numbers. But
Yeah, and if you look
like,
at children, or I think it was children death, if I remember right, I think pools, drownings in swimming pools was number one. I think at one time it was.
car accidents are very high in it.
Yeah,
So,
oh, they are. But
yep.
I'm talking about for children. I think it was actually
Yeah.
swimming pools. But they don't outlaw pools. They don't outlaw cars. They don't go after the car manufacturers like they want to go after a gun manufacturer. It's
Yeah.
oh man, it's tiring. I mean, we could talk about this for days and days and days. But let's move on to some other questions.
Yeah.
Um,
60%.
yep.
So,
Hello, Floridian. How are you? Hello, Clyde. Don't have any MBX mags. Ball done. I thought he did. Um, yeah, I don't even know. Like when they did do that debate, that's what Brian's saying with Trump. Trump was on with Tucker, I think, the same night or something, and I think Trump pulled. What was it like? It was like triple the number or something that they had of this Republican debate. It's crazy, but who knows?
I'm a little bit of a weirdo in that it comes to it. I mean, I'll vote for Trump, but I sure wish someone else would win the primary. Um,
Yeah.
I hope I probably just offended half your viewers, but um, I will vote for him. But I really don't like him.
Well, and I was going to say, he's done some 2A stuff that's not user friendly, for sure. We know that, and yeah, I don't agree with him on
I mean,
that by any means.
I
But
mean, look, he could in the first 2 years in office, he could have nominated an ATF director to clean house.
yeah,
He never had an ATF director for 4 years.
he could have wiped out the ATF.
Yeah.
I mean, said bye, have a nice day, but that didn't happen. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and I mean, I know the tweeting and all that crap. Sometimes it's just like, it's kind of like the guy that shows up with the flashy car or whatever and can't even drive it. It's kind of like just do the action, get everything handled, and then you don't need to stoke the fire. But hey, he is who he is, and it is what it is. And definitely, we were in a way better economy then than we are now. So,
I mean, yeah,
but
look, I am so grateful for what he did in his presidency with the judges that we have in there. Um, so many things that he did. I mean, the bump stock ban was bad, but there were a lot of good things that he did. That's why I'd vote for him again. But
yeah,
I just wish there was someone else that I he sounds like an idiot to me. And I just remember back to the COVID press conference where he was literally talking like he knew something about medical. And he was wondering if we could put Clorox in people's
yeah,
systems. They were
bleach.
talking about cleaning Clorox. He says,
Yeah,
and maybe that's something we can put inside people to prevent
yeah,
COVID. And you're just like, what the freak? And
yeah. But you got to think about it. At least he can have sentences that actually make sense and we can understand,
yeah,
other than the puppet. But also, I did want to say this because I don't know if anybody's tried it, but I've got a new bourbon called Redemption Bourbon, and I have not even tried it. Poured a big glass of it, set it down here. I was telling TriggerBar I was going to try it live on the air so we can see what it's about. But I went into the liquor store and tried to get some more Buffalo Trace, and of course they're always out of it. So they recommended this because I was picking up some Bullet anyway. So definitely has a pretty good smell.
So was that gun that they were talking about with the MBX mags? Was that a 10 millimeter Tanfo? Is that what they were talking about?
I believe it. I think his is a 10 millimeter, if I remember right. It's actually pretty good. If anybody wants Redemption Bourbon, it's actually pretty good. Um, has some different notes in it. I think his is a 10 millimeter, if I'm correct. I think it's a Tanfo Unlimited, I believe. Hello, Lynn Holt. How are you? Brian Deshane. Prantic. How are you? Let's see here. Yeah, and I'm wondering, how you were mentioning, Gavin. I'm wondering if some shady shit's going to happen to where they're going to try to move him in the door.
I gotta believe it's coming.
Yeah, there's just something. I just have this weird feeling. All of a sudden, they're going to be like, "Oh, JB is lost. He's off the rocker. So now we got to move stuff around, and here's your new person." So I don't know.
Well, you've started to see some of the other mainstream media feeds even, questioning them a little bit more. Like they've
That's,
given them carte blanche pass for anything stupid they
yeah,
do, right? And nothing, and all of a sudden they're saying this doesn't make sense.
yeah. That's why I'm saying. I'm just wondering if people have been telling them to say that, and then it's going to lead up to something. I mean, I don't trust the mainstream for anything. So
Yeah, I agree.
here's a good one. Lynn is asking because this is going to really apply to you. A question for everyone: what is your favorite 10 millimeter? I'm considering my first one. I've shot a few, just haven't bought in. So, in your experience, what is your favorite 10 millimeter?
Boy, that's a hard one. Um, well, I did just get a new Tanfo, right? It's been around on my channel for a little bit, but it's a 6-inch gold match Defiant. That's the new IFG branded one because they no longer Tanfolio no longer goes through EAA and Witness, right? So they're now Defiance, but that one it's a single action only. I really like that. So it really just depends on what you're going. We live in a good age. There's in the last couple of years, the two cartridges I think that have really come around. I mean, 9mm king. That's end of story. We're talking about the other court jesters right now, right? So for 10mm, it's really been a renaissance lately, right? Lots of companies coming out with awesome 10mm, and then also 5.7, of course, um, and and so it's I don't know. So if you want an all metal one, right, I go Tanfo. That's really your only option. I have a Sig 1911. I've heard some people say the EAAs, the Gersons, 1911 10mm are good. I've seen pretty mixed stuff, including I think reloading from the hot pots on here. He's been working on his rock and done a lot of work. If you want to do a lot of work, it sounds like to get it
Yeah.
reliable, you can do it and get your rock island reliable. And then other people say, "Oh, mine always worked," right? Um, and and uh, but so if we're talking plastic though, I think there are some really good ones out there. I would avoid the M&P like a plague. I had one. I tried everything to that stupid gun and I could never get it to work, and I gladly traded it in and got a different gun. I really like my Springfield XDM Elite OSP. It's a 3.8 inch. There's something magical about that 3.8 inch. It just handles the recoil. It'd probably be too small for you, Big J. But then the Glock, the Glock 20, amazing gun. Glock
Yeah.
40, amazing gun. And then I think the new FN 510 is good. They've been pretty expensive, but I've seen them coming down in price, like all things. And certainly, the people are putting in the chats. Dan Wesson is kind of like the standard. That's where the gold bar is usually set for 1911s for 10mm.
Yeah. If I was having to pick a style, or let's say, a polymer version, or, and a metal version, um, you know, it's really hard to beat. And of course, I love FN, but the proven reliability of the 10 millimeter Glock, and y'all know I'm not a Glock guy, but there's so many accessories and things like that for it.
Yeah,
If you need the polymer version, but I would definitely prefer a steel version. I have shot, different steel versions, and of course, the Springfield. I've shot the Springfield. Um, I just, you know, me and grip safeties don't get along, and I know that's a difference, kind of like an upside down grip safety on the XDs, but I don't really like them, so I'm not a huge fan of them. But 1911 setup, 2011 setup. The Tanfos are super nice. I love my Tanfo. I don't think you could go wrong there. Like a Witness or something like that. 1911 setup, I think, is a really good option
Yep.
for a 10 millimeter. I just think it's really, really hard to beat a reliable 1911, in really any caliber. 10 and 45 would be my preferred, but it's just hard to beat those. So,
One last thing, if you are seriously considering it for an outdoors gun and you're going to be schlepping it for bear defense, I'd go plastic because I've carried my 1911 on a chest rig, and it's doable. It's not that bad, but after a while, after days of hiking and hunting, you feel it, and so that's when I got my XDM, and that carried just so much better.
yeah, and you bring up a valid point there. If you are schlepping through the gunk and all that other stuff, the Glock has the looser tolerance where it's going to be a little probably more reliable. Where the 1911 could, if it gets crud in it or moisture, or you got to hike through the snow or whatever. The tolerances are much tighter, so it's not going to have that extra play and give like the Glock or probably the FN would. So there's that I do agree with that as well. So let's see here. Yeah, I mean, we're getting, a lot of people are looking up the stat, 60% of firearms, yeah. I mean, I agree with, yeah. And then, of course, they're saying Tanfo 10 millimeter. Let's see here.
I mean, so for double action, single action metal frame gun, that I think it's only. I'm not aware of another one. Please put in the chat and correct me. DASA gun that I know of is the Tanfo.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not thinking of something, but
Yeah, and the Tanfo offers a single action as well. I think the Ultimate is a single action, I
and that's
believe.
what mine is. Mine's a
Yeah.
single action only, but
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Hello, Norwood. How are you doing? And Gabriel. Yeah. Yeah, Pistol Pete. Oh, Big Mike might be stepping in too. You never know how this stuff's going to happen. They're going to push. They're going to try to push something through.
I think so.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me.
Hello, Chris from the 740. How are you? Oh, Chris was he drug out his old 308 and was blasting away with it. I saw the video and I was happy he was sending that 308.
Yeah, I watched that. That was good times.
Yeah, I love me some 308. Let's see here. Man, I got to catch way up. Good Lord. I didn't realize. Yeah, Dan Wesson, I mean, it's really, really, really hard not to want or to grab a Dan Wesson. I mean, they make great pistols. Let's see here.
And I have liked watching reloading from the Hot Pot series on getting his Rock Island going. It's pretty cool. He did a great job with that.
Yeah, that's the thing about Rock Island, and Hayes Customs. I mean, they do a lot with them, and I've shot them before. They weren't mine, but I've shot them, and some of them can be really finicky on mags. Not 10 millimeter. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying some of them can be very finicky on mags. Some of them do run well, but man, those really rough edges. And I don't have baby hands. I'm not trying to be a wuss. But man, the sharp corners and stuff, because sometimes, y'all have probably seen it. I've got a callus now because I've been shooting so long with my staccatos on my particular hand size because of the thumb safety. It's just, it rides right there, and it'll chew me up where, right at the end where it kind of goes, the little point at the end, it just chews my hand up. I mean, I've showed it on video where there's actually like internal blood. But now it's pretty much calloused up because I hadn't shot 1911s in a long time. But then I got into the 2011 game and kind of worked through it. I was like, yeah, I'm not a wuss. So I was like, no big deal. But it's, you don't, now with those, it was like ripping my hand open, with the Rock Island and the sharp edges. It was just, but it's a gun with a price point. I get it. I totally get it. And there's a lot you can still do to those as well. But you know. Let's see here. Yes, and that would be pretty awesome. And I was hoping that CZ would do it. I know CZ Custom has done it, but the 97 BD and the 97B, converting those to 10 millimeter, because I've got the 97B and I absolutely love that gun. I mean, it shoots incredibly awesome. It's double action, single action, shoots great. I just wish I could have it milled for a dot, but it's got that stupid little plunger that sticks up on the top of it. And I had some people like, we're not going to mess with that. And then I've, had some guys, yeah, we can cut it, but, we don't know. And I'm like, I don't want to take a chance on it. So since especially they've canceled that gun, so they don't make it anymore. So that's why I don't really want to monkey with it. If I could have two of them, then I'd get one cut and try it out. But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now I do want to get into, what we were kind of talking about, the name of the chat. It's irons or dots for EDC. I've continued I get these questions like multiple times a week, like, hey, do you think irons, or what's your opinion on irons versus dots? I see you shoot a lot of dots, do you still shoot irons? I get all these kind of different questions. I'm not going to go over every one of them, but, I just kind of wanted to bring it up on a chat and have you on too, so it's a different opinion. But in your opinion, for a pistol, of course, rifles, you're going to have a dot or you're going to have a scope or something, I would assume nowadays. It's kind of like, not the 1980s anymore. But what do you prefer? Do you have a preference, a dot or irons or whatever on your EDC gun?
Yeah. So let me throw that into two categories. I just put a stupid little short out tonight, and there's a funny backstory on that. We can get to that later, but on pocket carry.
Okay.
So I do a fair amount of pocket carry for deep concealment, and I don't, that doesn't make any sense to have a dot on there, right? A little tiny micro gun.
Yep.
To me, the whole point is fitting in your pocket, and as thin a profile and as small a profile as you can get, it's not going to happen. Now that said, with my eyesight, almost every irons I get, I shoot to the left. And
Okay.
it's what happened is I'm left-handed, but I'm right eye dominant.
Okay.
So I've learned to shoot right. As I've gotten old, my right eye, that's my dominant eye, has started to go blurry.
Okay.
And so I just I can't focus very well on the dot, and it gets all skawonkus. And so I think sometimes my left eye kicks in and takes it, and it shifts that zero. So especially when there's just a really small sight radius, I have to move them over on irons. So what I love about the dots is I can sight them in for what I want, and on anything that's not going in my pocket, I almost everything, not entirely true, but almost everything, I've got a dot on it.
Yeah.
It just I'm more accurate, I'm faster. It's quicker for me. I mean, look, I get it. You're gonna be point shooting, and I see that and I get it. But if I ever need to take a shot, and I can acquire it faster and be on target better. And it takes training. It takes a lot of work to get there with it and shifting from them. But I think it's worth it personally. And nowadays with the dots commonly lasting over a year in their battery life. And then if you follow a regimen, like every birthday or every 4th of July or whatever your thing is, you follow that regimen, replace all your batteries on that day of the year, no matter what, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I would kind of roll a little bit with that too. What I get into, and I will say this, my eyes aren't the best. I'm older. I don't have perfect vision. I don't wear corrective lenses, but I can wear glasses, and y'all usually see me in the videos with sunglasses because I have astigmatism in both eyes. So the astigmatism can make a dot kind of blurry. Now, it's not like a comet. It's just kind of a little blistering. So that cleans up the dot a lot when I wear those glasses. However, with an astigmatism and without glasses of any sort, What I do is I set my dot up and I find I guess the most dominant part of the dots, and that's what I adjust my sight to. So, and you're talking, is it going to be here or here? I mean,
Yeah.
you're getting into, you're picking specks out of fly shit when you get into that, so it doesn't really matter. But um, I definitely with irons, okay, 7 yards, 10 yards, you know, I tend to still be faster with the dot because I'm so used to it. With the irons, I'm still, focusing on the front, kind of blurring both. So I'm blurring the target and my front sight. And I mean, I'm still decent. I've shown it on video. I can still shoot irons. But is it preferred? No. If I have to take a longer shot, yes, I want a dot. Also, you're not focused on a front sight post like we were all taught, or making one blurry and one blurry. You don't have to mess with that. You don't have to line up this, to
Mhm.
make sure you're not too high or too low. Um, I mean, it's just draw it, keep your head up, bam, 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 you're good to go. And you still have all your peripheral. So you can look around you if there's multiple people, whatever. Where you're going to be so target, or sight focused, front sight focused. It kind of all of that, you just tunnel vision to that front sight. And I do like the head up display, so to say, and having everything around that I can see and being target focused and just letting the dot get in the way. It's just more comfortable for me now.
Yeah.
Definitely makes me shoot better. I'm not a bullseye shooter. I don't, people are like, oh, you're not putting holes inside of holes. Who gives a shit? I'll make you a strainer. I don't give a damn. It doesn't matter to me. Um, if you're shooting to save your life, who cares? I don't need to hit six right here. I can put 6 or 8 right here. Doesn't matter. So people need to get off that bullseye shit. I'm not shooting for bullseye accuracy, and most people shouldn't under speed. And if you can do that, great. Doesn't matter. But that is why I prefer a dot. Plus, with the dots, like you said, and I've said too, the dots have been getting better and better and better. You can put cat crap on them. I've had people say, oh, well, it's going to, you're going to get condensation on it. It's going to fog up. And yes, it could do that. But when you put cat crap on it, it's kind of an anti-fogging agent. And since I've been using that, I haven't had any condensation issues. And I'm talking going from a truck that's 80 degrees in the truck out to 20-degree weather with a wind chill. Here in Texas, yes, we do get cold during an ice storm, and I pulled it out, and I thought, man, this thing's going to fog up instantly. And with the cat crap, it didn't. And if anybody's interested, I don't sell the stuff, but you can buy it on Amazon. It's cat crap. There's two versions. One is a liquid, and one is a paste, and I have both, the liquid and the paste. I prefer the paste. And you can just smear it on with your finger, kind of rub it around with a Q-tip, wipe it off, you're good to go. Works great. I put it on all my dots, inside and outside, or if it's an enclosed, I put it on the outside. I put it on all the panes, even on my rifles. I put it on my scope. I haven't had any problems with it. Doesn't blur. It doesn't make any weird, smears or anything like that. But it does work. So I highly recommend it. Every time I clean my gun, I clean the dot and then I reapply it. You don't have to put it on daily, but it
I got
soaks
to give
into.
you some of that.
Yeah, it's cat crap. It's
I also
KAT.
want to see either David Walcott in your chat or LW Road do the Alaskan test with it. LW Road, I'm not sure if you saw that last winter, stuck
Yes.
his guns out in minus 20
Yep.
for like 20 minutes or something like that, then brought them in and they fogged up. So I want to see
Yep.
the cat crap test with that.
We'll go in there and look on his video. I put, you need to try cat crap.
Oh, okay.
There's my comments on that video. I told him, I said, get cat crap and try it. Now, I'm not in Alaska, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I could only deal with what I had, but it worked. So for my application, I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody's. But I mean, I've shot, when it's sprinkling, I haven't had any problems with it. Most of all of your even open emitters, they have the little drains on the side. Yes, can you get water in your emitter? Yes, you can shake it, you're good to go, or just let it drain on its own. You can blow in there, whatever you want to do. I haven't really like shot in a pouring rainstorm, so I don't know about that. But it's it works for me. Somebody did have saying something about they bought a Hollow Sun and the stock batteries took a shit. Yeah, those stock batteries are China junk. They are just when
I've
you,
had that too. I've had
yeah,
that exact same
they're
thing.
they're
Yep.
freaking trash. So when you get it, open that battery, throw it in the trash, put a good Duracell in there, and your problems go away. So don't use those factory batteries. They're complete shit. Matter of fact, even on these little Sealy's, I took those and threw them in the trash right when I got them and put Duracells in them, and I haven't had a problem. So
It's a good idea.
yeah, they're just cheap ass batteries. Matter of fact, I think I had no, it wasn't the Sealy. Um, I think it might have been like a early Hollow Sun. Like it was a model they had for a long time, so it could have been sitting on a shelf somewhere. And hell, I checked it and it was dead, and it was a dead battery. It's one of those cheap ass batteries.
Yep.
So, plus I don't really, I pulled some of those little China batteries out, and if you look around the rim where they're kind of sealed, I've seen some with like some rust. It looks like some rust shit or something on it. So I don't know how well they're even sealed, but I just take all those and chunk them in the trash.
Yep.
Let's see here. All right, and this is a question I get asked a lot. I shoot both eyes open with dots and irons. Do you shoot both eyes open with
With
dots and irons?
with dots, I do.
Okay.
I'm probably just not as good as reloading from the hot pot or you, but I can't really do it with dots. And
Okay.
I think it's my eyes that, again, left-handed, shooting right-handed, right eye dominant. That's gone bad.
You mean you can't shoot both eyes open with dots or
with
irons?
with irons.
Okay, you said dots. Okay.
Sorry, I meant
Yeah.
iron. Sorry about
No,
that.
because I've done it both ways. Way back in the day, everybody would do that with irons, and then I was like, hell with that, because I would use my red dot on my rifle, and I was fine with it. And then I started shooting both eyes open with irons, and then I was like, hey, this works for me. It might not work for everybody. I get it, and some people don't have the exact same prescription in each eye, so I get that too. But yeah, I try to, like I said, I want to keep both eyes open, try to keep everything going on. So yeah, I'm a both eyes open shooter. That's what I definitely try to do.
Hey, there. Let me just jump on something. There's a question I meant to bring up as you were talking before we move on from the dots.
Yep.
I really do like enclosed dots, and I know you do too.
Hmm.
And one time I was out in the woods, not on a trail, bushwhacking through stuff, and came back into camp. I had my gun in a more like Safarland type holster, not concealed carry on me, so open
Yep.
carry, and it was a Holosun 507C. The reticle was, or not the reticle, but the dot was filled with crap,
Yep.
like just chock to the brim, filled with twigs and leaves and little debris that had all just fallen in there, and that kind of scared me a little bit.
Yep.
Because that I would have pulled it out, and by the time you pull it out, or you just know in that situation some kind of piece of crap's going to get in and block that emitter. Now
Yep.
I haven't had that, and I've heard lots of people say, yeah, neither have I. I've been through everything, and it never happens. But just don't that one time.
Yep.
So that's where, for my guns that I'm going to be carrying, hunting or backpacking or anything like that, I use an enclosed emitter. I do prefer the EPS or EPS carry, depending on the width of the frame. That's
Hmm.
their newer version. I prefer that over the 509T. And why? The 509T requires an extra plate to stack. So if you have to put a plate like on your staccato,
Yep.
you have to add a plate for the 507C footprint. Then you stack your 509T plate, and then you can put your 509 on it. Instead, you use the 407K, 507K RMSC shield footprint, and then you mount the Holosun EPS directly to that. EPS and EPS carry use the exact same footprint. One's big, one's small.
Yep. Yeah, and I've looked through those like at the gun store, and I've been like, hey, these actually look pretty good. But I haven't officially tried one on a gun yet, so I do want to do that. I've got a friend who has one, so I probably will when we go to the range together. So I'll check that out. But yeah, it's and I've proven it. I showed it one time. I don't wear an undershirt. I'm not a sweater or any of that. Nothing wrong with people who wear undershirts. I know some people have to. But here's the thing: I always appendix carry. You got your shirt either hanging over it or whatever. You're going to get, and people were grossed out about this, but we shed daily. Our skin sheds. You get belly lint, you get whatever. I just was making up a bunch of terms, or you're sweating, and sweat literally falls when you appendix carry. I've been out in the yard working and it's just pouring. So I pull my gun out and I'm like, holy crap, it's got sweat all over it. So yeah, if you had to grab that, you've got the belly lint. Can I shoot through it? Yes. I pulled it out and shown it. And I'm like, yeah, I can still shoot through it. But like you said, in your situation, so, I look at it this way. If you have an enclosed emitter, and you have to pull it up. You've got your thumb, you're working your safety
Yep.
or not working your safety. If you had to, you could just go whoop and wipe the back and you're golden. You're right back in the game. Where if it's not an enclosed emitter, it's you're sticking your finger in there and trying to dig the stuff out or move it out of there, or blow it out with a bulb or whatever. So it is more difficult. But do you have to absolutely have a closed emitter? No. I have tons of them that aren't enclosed, and they're great. I shoot them great, but you do take that trade-off. One is a huge cup where it just fills up with shit eventually, and one doesn't. So
Yep.
there's that too. So pick your poison, whatever works for you. I have no dog in that fight. However, I've been kind of gravitating more towards enclosed dots, and they seem to be working better for me.
Me too. I don't need them for everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I've had people go, just because I'm talking about an enclosed dot, they're like, oh, you don't have to have that. It's so much more money. I'm like, I'm not saying you have to have it. I'm just talking about a dot. So,
For my hunting guns, things that I'm using for personal protection in the woods,
yeah,
for me, my rule now is I have to have that.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, it kind of becomes, and people are like, oh my God, they're so big. It's like a big mailbox. It's this, it's that. Honestly, I carry them all the time. I've carried the MPS, the Steiner, carried it many, many times on the P10F. Absolutely no issue. I don't even notice the dot size difference.
Yeah.
Carry the Acro P2 all the time. Notice no difference. It's not like you're going to feel it or it's going to catch you in a certain spot. If you can carry an open, you can carry it closed. So,
And the EPS carry is pretty small.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? It's relative to, it's a mailbox, but it's not that much bigger than a Holosun 508T. It looks very similar to 508T, which is not an enclosed emitter.
Yep. Let me catch back up here. Yeah, like I said, I'm just a dot person, and like I said, if people don't like them, that's cool. I would never tell anybody what to use.
Yeah, look, I'm not milling my Colt 1911.
Yeah, there's certain guns I won't mill. I get it. Those are the ones I don't shoot very often. Don't lenses fog when going from cold to warm. Am I missing something? That's what the cat crap does. It's an anti-fogging agent. So that's what it helps. Is it fog proof? It is with what I've tried, but I'm not saying, if you walked into a deep freezer and stood in there for 30 minutes and walked out, could it be affected? Yeah, it could. Maybe Alaska could affect it. I don't know, but it definitely helps it. The cat crap, and it's cheap. That little vial, that little, paste I bought. Man, I think I've had it for 6 months, and or 6 or 8 months, or hell, maybe even close to a year, and I don't even think I've used a quarter of it on all my guns. It's not like wax like you get like 3 or 4 car waxes out of it. You're talking about a freaking dot that is yay big. So it's not like you're going to go through it. But the liquid does work, and I actually, believe it or not, I use it on my glasses, my Oakleys, and all that other stuff, and it works great on sunglasses or reading glasses or whatever too. But so I've used the liquid on my glasses
immediately for my range glasses.
Yeah,
I've been fogging them up like crazy in the heat here in Pennsylvania and in my sweat. So I got to put some on my range goggles.
Yeah, but also when you're like, even at the range, like if I'm shooting a video or something in an indoor range and it's cool in there, sometimes it's just happens to be the way, like you're holding your face weird or something, you
Yeah.
breathe, you might catch a little bit on your glasses. Um, before I would see like a little bit of, that fogging at the bottom or whatever near my nose.
Yep.
I don't see that anymore with the cat crap. So I guess it has worked. Um, you know, like I said, is it going to fix everybody's problems? I don't know that, but it's working for me. So, and it's super cheap. I think it's like $9 or $10. So it's not a big thing. Here you go. This is a good question. Which would you guys think is better, the 407 or the 509?
I already typed my comment in the
Oh,
comment there.
okay.
Um, uh, and I still think the EPS is better than both. But
Yeah.
right, we're talking apples and oranges there. The 407 is their budget line. Anything with the 4 is the budget line
Yeah.
of Holosun, and that just has the single dot reticle.
Right on.
If you don't care about that circle dot, get the 407 line. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Right? You should always go that route. If you just like a dot, and there are a lot of like the best shooters only like a dot. I think
Yeah.
I put this in a video. Humble Marksman's was evaluating the Holosun comp, and said, I don't know why anybody would ever want this. And I'm like, well, there are some
Yeah.
losers like me that still haven't perfected finding the dot as
Yeah.
fast as someone like Humble Marksman, and
Yeah.
I'm sure like half the other people in here, um, Bald, Pistol Pete, Reloading the Hot Pot, Chris, all those guys, they are much far more experts than me. But I like the circle dot. It helps me find it faster. But then 509 is their enclosed option,
Yeah.
right? So 407 is and look, if you have a 507C footprint, 407C footprint, 407, the RMR pattern footprint, and you want enclosed and you want Holosun, then you got to go 509T.
Yeah.
Because the 507K is for the EPS. You got to get something with a 507K. So if you're using a plate mounting system, if your gun comes with plate mounting, that's fine. Just get that plate.
Yeah.
If your gun is cut for RMR, then you're going to be looking at the 509.
Yeah. And like Rock Chalk is saying, dot is the way for me now. I was skeptical at first, but I'm all in on pistol red dots. And that's, if y'all remember way back when, I was shooting, I was going from irons, 2 dots, and I was like, and I was fighting it. I was the old school FUD type. I mean, I'll admit it. I was like, no, 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 and I fought it for a while. And the more and more I got used to it, and then I would test it on, with competitions when I was shooting USPSA, I would test it on the timer, and it would never lie. It's like, you're faster, dumbass. And I'm like, okay. And then finally, I'm just like, once I got into the groove of it, it was just like, now, can I go back? Yes, I can still shoot irons, but why? I mean, there's no benefit of going backwards. And now, as you notice, all the manufacturers, I mean, well, like say, for example, the CZ Shadow 2 Compact, it finally came with milling. CZ pulled their head out of their ass and said, okay, hey, we're going to put, optic ready on this gun, because that's where everybody is currently and going forward. Dots are only going to continue to get better. They've gotten so much better than when they first started. So no one is going to go backwards and say, oh, we're only making there's going to be some 1911s and stuff like that. Don't get it twisted. But I'm just saying, for speed, heads up display, for having all your peripheral, there's no reason to shoot irons anymore, honestly. And I was one of those guys that fought it tooth and nail.
Yeah.
But
And like I said, I get having, guns with irons. Like my pocket guns have only irons because I don't want something bigger on them.
yeah,
And there are people that like, look, this works for me, and so I get that, right? I mean, and but to say that there's no purpose in red dots, that's the argument I don't get.
yeah,
Because it may be no purpose for you. That's fine.
yeah,
Right. But for, I mean, that's where everyone's moving.
yeah.
You don't have to move there. That's fine. You don't have to move there, but
Yeah, and M. Gabriel, is saying this: do enclosed mailboxes look ridiculous on pistols? I don't think they do, but I get every time I've shown one, people are like, "Oh my God, that's so crazy!" That's just That's just the responses I'm getting, not from everybody, but some are just like, holy shit, that thing's big. But if you really kind of start looking at it, and I've shown it, I've put up the Acro P2 against different versions, and it's just like, okay, it just has a little back on it, and that's what people don't realize. Yeah, it's bigger looking, but once you put it on a pistol and you're used to it, it doesn't look any different than any other dot to me. It's just that's what it is. So, and I will say this: this is another thing, and I've said this before, but I don't think people really get it. And this is just what I've noticed from my experience. Okay, I haven't ever heard anybody say this. I think I'm the only one, and if somebody said it, fine, but I could have said it first. But with an enclosed, dot on a pistol, when I'm coming up, you're coming up out of your holster or out of your holster, and you're looking at the side of your dot. Say you're here.
Yeah.
I kind of can't show on the camera, but say you're here. I'm seeing the side of my dot. I'm not really looking in the hole because I can't, I'm not doing that. I'm looking at the side. So what I do is I look at the side. I'm coming up. I'm still looking at the side. I'm looking at the side, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing the dot. So the side of that tube actually helps me align quicker.
Yeah, that's nice.
With the side length being longer than shorter. It actually provides me kind of a guide as I'm coming out, and then all of a sudden when I've got it, I don't have to have it fully extended, but out to here, I'm already seeing the dot. So you're going from the side, just a click over, and that's where your eye is, and that's where the dot is. So that side, and I'm right-handed, so if you were left-handed, it would be the opposite side, but that is kind of a guide to help me go straight to the dot. So the tube or the longer sides of it actually benefits me, where I haven't heard anybody else ever talk about that.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's just
smart.
do what now? I'm sorry.
I said that. Yeah, that's smart.
It's something that started clicking with me because I tried it with open emitter, and I'm like, okay, I still see the side, but it's like you have this much
Yeah.
of a side versus maybe this much. So that kind of, it's like if I drew an arrow on it, it would be like, hey, look here, dumbass. It would be kind of something like that. But that just kind of helped me with the closed emitters. And it's like, seems like they're just even a little bit more or a little bit faster with having that side on there, the longer side. So I don't know if that helps anybody. And I would think with a rifle, as you're coming up, you're going to do the same thing. You've got your red dot, without a magnifier, of course, but you've got your red dot, and you're looking at the side and the side, and then you're just clicking over, and there's your red dot. You're not going and doing all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You don't have to. Just use the side of your dot. So I don't know. That might help some people. It helped me, and I kind of started clicking in on me, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to use that side to kind of hone in on that. But you know, do you have IBG is asking, do you have an LTT PX4 Storm compact, or have you ever shot one?
I have not. I've got a buddy who has a PX4 Storm compact carry in 40. Um, but I guess the question I have is I thought the compact carry did not have the rotating barrel.
I
So
thought
I,
it
I
did.
know that I think the compact has the rotating barrel, but not the compact carry.
Okay, because I've
That's
I've
what my
shot
friend told me.
okay because I've shot KS's, and his was not the LTT, but it was the compact, and it did have the rotating barrel. And I shot his, and I mean, it shoots great. I have nothing against the PX4, and a lot of people think they're just goofy looking, and they do look kind of weird. Um, but they shoot fabulous. The only thing about the compact is they're too short for my hands. Like when I was shooting his, I had the trigger finger. This one was just dangling, for me. So it wouldn't be for most people. But I mean, the gun shot great. I hated the sights. They were just shit sights because it didn't have a dot on it. So if it had a dot on it, man, and it had a little more length, or like maybe even a base plate, like a +2 or something, yeah. And I've shot the full size, and I like the full size. They're kind of goofy looking. They're kind of thick girls, but they shoot, and they shoot well. They're a lot of people kind of give them shit, but they're great guns.
IBG corrected me, and this might be several times he's had to correct me, but it's the subcompact that doesn't have the rotating barrel. Compact carry has one.
Okay, so which one does not?
The subcompact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
that must be the one my friend has. I,
okay,
I, I have definitely had my eyes on it, and I tell you what, if there was a rotating barrel in 357 Sig,
yeah.
I would probably get it because I like that cartridge. But I still may get it.
And that's what's really funny. People always ask, what do I think about 357 Sig? 357 Sig is awesome. It is an awesome round. I had them I think everybody's had them back in the day. I mean, but it's kind of like 40. Not saying it's a bad round. It's just it's not as prevalent. It's not as,
Yeah,
I mean, you can still find it, but it's not cheap, like 9 millimeter. But yeah, I love 357 SIG. I've never had anything against 357 SIG. I mean, it's a great round. And it'll definitely, it'll do what you need it to do. So there's nothing wrong with that round at all.
yeah.
Uh,
But that
oh,
that PX4 Storm though really intrigues me about with the rotating barrel. I've really loved the rotating barrel in the M&P 57, and it just really intrigues me. And then hearing Langdon Tactical talk about that on TFB TV
yeah.
really was quite compelling. How much he loves that gun. I bet that would be a fun one.
It is a great shooting gun. Like when I shot, KS's, he might have filmed it. It might still be on his channel. I didn't put it up on mine. Um, but when I was shooting it, I had never shot one before. So, and it was the compact, so it was smaller. But I put it up there, and I was like, bang, and I was like, what the hell? I'm like, wow, and I was like, bang, 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 and I mean the group was just stupid, and I was like, wow, this thing's freaking accurate. And that was with those little shitty sights. So I'm like, man, if that thing was a red dot, or if it had a red dot on it, this was, God, what was this, like 4 or 5 years ago I shot that thing. I mean, it's been a long time, and I haven't shot the LTT version, which I could only imagine would be better, and of course the red dot version. So, I even thought like, hey, if I found one, it just bumped into it and it was the right price, I'd probably buy it. If not, I'm saying, if I could get a compact even with an extension.
Yeah,
Um,
or
but
full size for you.
yeah, and then
Let's face it, Big J, a full size gun for you is like a subcompact for me.
yeah, well, I mean, I put big guns in my hand, just kind of hold them like that, like in a picture, where I've snapped a picture and people were like, "Is that a 43X?" And I'm like, "No, it's a Glock 17." They're like, "Holy shit!" And so yeah, it's just weird with some people, have big hands, some people don't. Um, I'm sure people are tired of me talking about it, but it sucks when you're trying to buy gloves, when you're trying to buy, certain guns, or you're like, man, I think that gun would really have a great purpose. However, if I can't put my hand on it and I can't draw it quick, I don't want the damn thing. It's not going to serve a purpose for me other than just sitting there. Mook is saying, I've got to say, I love the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. It really feels good. And I want to shoot one. I really, really, really
See,
want to shoot
that's a
one.
gun I think you would love
Yeah.
if you
But
didn't have XXXXXL hands.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And that's why, I don't want to just order one. I mean, I want to be able to put my hands on it and be like, okay, this will work. And that's the thing. I still have the CZ compact mags. I've got like, I don't know, I think I have like, I don't even own a PO1 anymore. And I think I've got 10 mags for it. And I've got the +2 extension. So I could just snap a +2 extension on there and I'd probably be golden. But I just got to see, even with the extension, like where would my finger, how would it fit? And if I can put one on my hand or put one in my hand and try it, even just dry firing it, if it works, I might own one. So I'm not saying that's probably a gun I would get. And I would carry it, after I test it and make sure everything's good to go. And if my hands fit on it, just so y'all know this too, I'm going to share this. Anybody with a Shadow 2 that wants good grips, like really, really good grips, Lock is coming out with Shadow 2 compact grips. I've already talked to them. They're making them right now as we speak. So they should be out soon. And if you've got a Shadow 2 and you want to get those Lock grips, you can use my discount code BJGG10. So that's BJGG10. That'll save you 10% off anything. Even these badass pistol stands and rifle stands. These things are awesome. I use them all the time. I was just putting an optic on a rifle the other night, and these things keep it perfectly level. So, if you've got a level bench, it'll hold it level. So, you've got two hands and don't have to monkey with shit. So that's why I use them all the time. And I use them for my pistols when I put the pistol dots and when I'm cleaning the pistol. Even if I want to just clean the lower, I'll just snap it on there and clean the lower. You just don't even have to hold it with your hand. So they do come in handy very often. I was going to ask you also, as far, and I get this question all the time. This was not about this chat. So you and I agree dots are the way for us, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but if anybody loves irons and they don't want to change, we're not pushing you to it. The only thing I would recommend is try it before you knock it. It's probably going to be taboo to you, but I get these questions all the time. Oh, that's just a bunch of stupid shit. I'd never put a dot on my gun. I'm like, have you ever tried one? And they're like, well, no. Like, holy crap, you might not know if you like vanilla ice cream unless you try it. But everybody can do their own thing.
And,
I don't tell people what to do.
and
Uh,
now's as good a time as any to get into that.
oh
You've
God,
got some freaking smoking deals.
these prices are unbelievable. I'm just looking. I mean, I keep getting notifications, like 10 notifications a day. And I'm like, they're giving shit away. And I'll tell you, I almost pushed the button and I don't need it. The Steiner MPS is now coming in FDE and it looks freaking sweet. And I was like, oh yeah, I could get the FDE. I could run my FDE X300, man, have like FDE black gun. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. But I'm like, do I have another plate? No, I don't. I'd have to buy another plate. And then I'm like, do I even need it? No, I don't. But I'm just like, man, it looks so damn cool.
You can get, like, if you don't have a gun with a optics cut, right? For the same price that it would almost cost you to do an optics cut, go buy a PSA dagger or I was just watching Chris from the 740, um, uh, doing, I think it's called the Kiger from Anderson,
Yeah.
right? I mean, these guns are so flipping cheap. They come pre-cut for one of the optics footprints. Like I got my dagger cut with the RMR footprint, and you don't need any plates. So the RMR means you can add a Holosun 407K or 47, 407C, 507C to it, or I'm sure Sealy, or you can get
Yeah.
Tridgergon, you can get whatever you want. I'm sure there's a Burris that fits that, and just try it. Get a cheap one, try it out. There's cheap codes at Palmetto all the time for Holosun 407s. I bought one of them. It works great. Lots of different optics out there. I think, yeah, you've been showing off the Sealy. They've been in contact with you. Lots of different options out there, and for not very much money. YouTube gets really pissed off when we mention any dollar signs here.
Yeah.
I've been noticing, but for not very much money, you can have an optic and a gun that you can try out, and if at the end of the day, you can probably sell it for the same price that you bought it for.
Yeah. And, I get hit up by not just Sealy, but, I've tried their stuff, the Cat Pro, and it's worked great. I've got two of them. I've tested them. They work great. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll try the Bear. It works great. Um, but I get hit up all the time by all these like Ace. I think one of them's ACE. One of them's, I get hit up by all these things, but I'm like, I don't, and nothing wrong with those brands that I know of, but I haven't tested them. But I'm like, I just don't want to, I don't want to take all these dots and just, test them and honestly never use them. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
The
Here's
Sealy's, I've got pretty good confidence in the Sealy's because what's really weird about this, and I'll say it, and people probably won't believe me. However, Humble and I actually talked about this. This Sealy Cat Pro, this is like one of the clearest freaking dots. And I've got astigmatisms. And I'm like, this damn thing is so clear. It's clearer than my Holosun 507K.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm like, what the hell? And I've got stigmatism in both eyes. So I'm like, damn. And so far I froze the shit out of it. I've beat it up, thrown it on the concrete. I've done all kinds of shit to it. So far, knock on wood, I'm not saying the Holosun wouldn't, but so far it's been good. But I'm like, I don't want to be the optic channel. I don't want to turn into that. So that's why I've been like, no, 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 not responding to them, because I'm just like, I don't want to start, getting all these dots. I mean, I guess I could get them and give them away, but I just, I don't want to just start changing dots every
Yeah.
day or anything. I don't want to turn into that person.
And I do think though you do have to be careful a little bit, right? So let's be a little bit. There are tons of good companies out there, but for example, I just wanted to test it out. I got a pretty good deal. I got it for I think $10 cheaper than I could have gotten a Holosun, so not that much cheaper. But I got the Vortex CCW Defender, and I wanted to try it out. Wanted to see how it would work because I'd pretty much mostly gone Holosun. And it's a good dot. But here are some really freaking annoying features. Just like the Holosun, it has auto shutoff. Guess how long it takes to activate the auto shutoff on that CCW Defender?
What, 4 hours? I mean, I don't know.
12 hours. So if that's your everyday carry, it will never auto turn off. And then guess what the battery life on it is?
Uh,
2,000 hours. The
what?
Holosun is 50,000 hours. It's
Wow.
2,000 hours on the Vortex CCW Defender.
They should have never came out with that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like Vortex. What the freak? And they just came out with it this year. It's not like, oh, that was their release in 2017. No, that was this year. And I'm like, well, who would want, what moron
Yeah.
would buy this, right?
Yeah.
And so I have it on my 22, right? I don't CCW my 22.
Yeah.
And it sits in the safe for longer than 12 hours, so it auto shuts off. And in the 6 months I've had it, it comes on when I pull it out. But it's just, yeah. So
Yeah, and I want to answer this question because I've experienced this, so I'm just going to share. I don't even know how you say this name. Jib, is that Jibba Jabba? But he's saying, good point. I'm new to the dot. Going to dovetail adapt my TP9SA practice and see if it's for me. Here's what I'll tell you on the dovetail mounts. You're going to knock your rear side out, put your dovetail mount on, then mount your dot. So it is going to be higher, which is not a big deal. You can adapt to that. However, you're going to get wiggling out of it. I don't care. I've seen people, oh man, this is the tightest one. You're going to get wiggling out of it. So when you rack it, it's just, and you're shooting it really, really fast, you're going to get that wiggling and you're going to think, damn, my dot is refreshing. It's messing up. It's because of the dovetail mount. And you're going to spend 50 to 60 to $75 on that mount. Milling a gun is only like $140. So you're going to spend that on the dovetail and you're going to be like, hey, I do really like the dot. Then you're going to turn around and have to spend another $140 or whatever to mill it. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I've shot people's guns where they put the dovetail mount on it and it's not all it's cracked up to be. And some dovetail mounts might be better, but the two that I tried, they were two different brands. They sucked. So they were not good. That was just an experience I had. They might have gotten better now. This was a while ago. So that's just something to be aware of. But if you want to try, what I would recommend is if you have a friend who has a dot, try it that way, where it's physically milled either by a plate or something where it's not in a dovetail mount. I would recommend that if you can.
it's gonna feel like it's causing more tilt. I think that's why I was saying earlier, you really don't want these things stacking. It'll feel weird because it's mounted so high.
Yeah. And, Clyde Cumberland, is the DDP Mini any good in your opinion? Delta Point Pro Mini? I've never seen a Delta Point Pro Mini.
So
Um,
maybe it's that Leopold Mini. You've seen that, right?
oh, the one on the back
Yeah.
that hang off. No, fuck that thing. No, no. I've seen it. I played with it at Texas Gun Experience, and I'm like, seriously. It's almost like your front. And the way that I did it, I held it out there, and I was like, okay, I don't have a window, and I'm not saying it was bad. But it was almost like I was front sight focusing again, and I don't want to be that way. I prefer at least some sort of a window where I've got a little more peripheral. And when I was looking at that, I was literally looking at that like I would a front sight post. I didn't have this. It was more of a tunnel effect. So, and matter of fact, they're almost giving those things away now. They've just, gone away. And as far as the Delta Point Pro as a dot, the big one, they suck. I don't like them. I think I've gone through. I'm on my third one. I have one left. The other two took a shit, so they're not for me. That stupid putting your finger in there, turn it up or down. That's stupid. Um, if you like your Delta Point Pro, that's cool. I just have had not good luck with them. So, just sharing my experience. Anything else that you want to bring up? Because I think Chris is having his chat, and I don't want to step
Yep.
on his toes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, he
thank
is.
you, Jay. Appreciate you having me on, and it's just fun topics and great people. And I look forward to having you having some of these other people that are in the chat on here and
Yeah,
listen to you guys. I listen to you pretty religiously. I maybe not always on the chat, but I almost always listen to it the next morning, either working out or driving into work or something like that. But thanks for all you do for the community.
yeah, and I appreciate y'all so much. I mean, the whole community is why this happens, and I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you were sick, with the crud, so I'm glad that you're better, and that you were able to be on tonight. It's a lot of fun to have someone else on to get a differing opinion. Everybody hears my opinion sometimes constantly, and I can beat a horse to death sometimes, or I feel like I am because I'm answering the same questions over and over again. So it's good to have a differing opinion. And yes, if anybody's out there and they were like, hey, I want to be on the chat or whatever, shoot me an email. You can go to the community tab and my information's in there. And I would love to have, we can talk about it and see where we go from there. If y'all have anybody out there has a channel and, big, small, whatever, let me know. I was helped when I first started YouTube. Not that I'm a huge channel because I'm definitely not. But, if I can help you grow, I'd love to. If we hit it off, then I'll have you on the chat. Not a problem at all. And uh, of course, tune in to TriggerBar Philosopher. He's got a great channel. He and I have a lot of similarities. That's why we've hit it off. We're kind of liking the same things. I'm not the 10 millimeter guy. He's the 10 millimeter guy. I think I was the 10 millimeter guy, back in 1988 or 89. I had three of them, but that's people think 10 millimeters new. It's not. It's been out since 1987, but it definitely has came a long way from what it was before, and it is a great round. It's just not as common and as practical to shoot with and to test with as I like to do. I am going to be getting more to the range. I've got stuff that was sent in that I still need to test. I have been testing one item that was sent in, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm not liking it. Y'all are straight up. I'm straight up with everybody, and honestly, I think it's a piece of shit. But they were. I told them, I said, you're going to get the honest review. Oh yeah, that's what we want. I'm like, I don't know if you do, because I tell the truth. But anyway, that's going to be coming up. I have been testing that Streamlight Wedge XT. I got that in from Streamlight. It's a pretty damn cool little light. If you like the big wedge, which I love that, I do like the little one, so it definitely works very well. I've been carrying it every day since I got it, and I do really like it. And it was sent to me. I didn't pay for it. They did send it, so I'm 100% upfront. And then also, I did want to stop. I did want to end the chat with this because I'm going to tell you what mine is. But if you have to have a song that pops on every time you hear it, just one song. Every time you hear it, you're just like, man, I'm in the groove. This is my go-to song. This is something that gets me fired up in the car, where you'll either play the air guitar or the air drums or whatever it is. What song is yours?
Oh man, that's a tough one
I
for
know it is. There's so many great
me.
songs.
Yeah.
I've got one that just every freaking time.
You know what? Here's an oldie that I still like and shows my eclectic like for music. But well, certainly it might be ACDC. She shook me all night long. But also Van Morrison. I think it's called "She Moved Me" or something like that.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I just that just brings me back to my childhood and some good times. So
yeah. Van Morrison. I mean, great. I mean, they definitely know what they're doing. But what it is for me, it's very, some people might be like, I've never even heard that song. But what it is for me is Phil Collins In the Air Tonight. Have you ever heard it?
I haven't.
Okay.
Oh yes, In the Air Tonight.
Yes. Do 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 do
Yeah,
do. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
man. It's from Miami Vice, and it's been in a bunch of other
yeah,
shows. But
yeah.
I mean, I remember when and I love ACDC. There's a lot. I love the Eagles. They're one of my favorite bands. But and Eagles have some great songs too that really get me going. But man, every time I hear "In the Air Tonight," it's just like, holy crap. I mean, it's just, I'll be in the car just driving, and I'm just like, I mean, every time. I don't care if I'm in a bad mood, a good mood. That's just kind of the go-to song. It's weird, but it is what it is. So
ACDC is what we played my senior year in high school football. As we were out on the field warming up at our home games, that was our choice. And there's just something always that just a little bit of pumps me up. Let's get ready to do this.
yeah, and ours was "Eye of the Tiger," and dude, I'm like, seriously, that is just so freaking overdone. They when we ran through the freaking banner, and it would rip.
Yeah.
It was "Eye of the Tiger," and I'm like, oh my god, this is
This
so
was before the band. This is before everyone showed up. When we're on the fields, it's just us,
yeah,
right? And they let us play it before parents got in the stands because the parents would have freaked out, at least
yeah,
at my high school.
yeah. I don't know what it is about, like I said, there's multiple songs, multiple bands that I love, but and the Eagles have some really good, drum solos too. Rush has great drum solos, but for some reason it's "In the Air Tonight" because it's like just cruising and just, ripping down through a road, and it's just like, yeah, man. I mean, that'll make you wreck your car if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you being on. I appreciate everybody out there. You like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, if anybody wants to be on the chat, please reach out to me. Let me know. We can discuss it and go from there. But y'all all have a great night. And TriggerBar, stay on for a second. Y'all all have a great night. And remember, an unarmed nation's a very weak nation. So we all got to carry on. Thanks, everyone. Y'all take care.